Well, hello and welcome to today's podcast and YouTube video. And so today we're looking at Acts 7, 37 through around 43, I think it is, 7 verses. We're continuing on the talk about Moses in Stephen's sermon. So let's go ahead and begin with the Greek. So this is a demonstrative pronoun, no pun intended. This is the Moses who spoke to the sons of Israel. Okay, so this is the aorist, it's aping and aorist. It's the aorist participle of lego. The os is all that's left of this is an alternative form. It could be apone because second aorists often take the what we normally associate with the present participle endings. But this is all that's left of sos, of an aorist. So it's peer pressure. It's like, why can't I be like the normal aorist? And it's taken the partial ending of a normal aorist nominative masculine singular participle without the sigma. So it's aping an aorist. So this is a participle. This is the Moses, and of course Stephen is talking to the Sanhedrin. This is the Moses who said to the sons of Israel, quote, capital P, a prophet to you will cause to rise God. This is the subject because it's nominative. This is the object because it's accusative. So we put it in our English pipe and smoke it, and it comes out. God will cause a prophet to rise from the brothers of you like me. This is a quote from Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 15. We've seen this already in Acts, by the way, haven't we? We saw it in Acts chapter 3 in Peter's sermon. Now Stephen is continuing the tradition. Verse 38, this is, notice the recurrence of this in this part of the sermon, this Moses. This is the one who became in the assembly in the desert, who came to be, this is the one who came in the assembly in the desert. By the way, the word for assembly here is ecclesia, church. And so this would not, of course, be lost on Luke's Christian readers that, in a sense, Moses was leading the church of the desert church, in the assembly in the desert, with the angel who spoke, who was speaking. This is a present participle. With the angel who was speaking to him on the Mount Sinai. Now, there are 3 places in the New Testament where we find out about the Jewish tradition that angels had mediated the giving of the law to Moses on Mount Sinai. That's not really clear in the book of Exodus itself, but here and in Galatians 3 and in Hebrews chapter 2, verse 2, I think it is, we find this idea that that God delivered the law in the hands of angels. That's not clearly in the Old Testament, but it was a tradition within Judaism that arose as far as we can see in the intertestamental period. I'm trying to think, but I think the book of Jubilees from about 150 BC has that tradition as well. Okay, so verse 38, this is the one who came in the church in the desert with the angel who was speaking to him. When a participle has the article on it, it's an adjectival participle, and we usually go with a who or a that to translate it. This is the one who came to be in the church in the desert with the angel, the one who was speaking to him in the Mount of Sinai and of our fathers, the Mount of our fathers, who, and since this is a singular relative pronoun, I assume it's referring to Moses, who received, C is the key to hidden sigma. Hidden sigma alpha tells me this is aorist. This is from decamai, to receive, who received living words, the living oracles. He received the living oracles. Interesting that the commands are considered living oracles, not dead ones, not letters, dead letters, but living oracles. Be interesting to explore that thought a little bit. To give to us. They're living because they're for us. I guess that's part of it, isn't it? They're not just meant for them, but they're also meant for us. This is the aorist of didomi. Verse 39, to whom to which they did not want to become obedient. That is, our fathers. To which our fathers did not want to become obedient. Okay, now again, subtext here. You guys are doing it again, Sanhedrin. You know, Jesus came. You didn't want to be obedient to him. I'm here giving you the truth. You don't want to listen. Again, these echoes of the current situation in Stephen's telling of the story. Okay, let's keep going. But they perished. Sigma Alpha is aorist here. I think this might be a polymy, which means to destroy in the active and to perish in the middle. And this is a middle ending here. Sigma Alpha is only used in the aorist active and middle. Theta 8 is used for the aorist passive. So if you have a Sigma Alpha, you know it's either active or middle. And then the ending, Amen, Ueta, Ametha, Esther, Anta. This is a middle or passive ending, so it must be middle, which means it means perished, apolomy. It's obviously irregular. It's lost a lot of letters. If I have the right noun, I didn't look it up, so it might be a different noun, verb. It might be a different verb, but I don't think so. But they perished, and they turned in the hearts of them into Egypt. Their hearts turned back to Egypt. And I suppose by implication, the Sanhedrin's hearts are turning back to Egypt here. Verse 40, having said to Aaron, quote, another quote, direct discourse, make, this is an imperative, aorist imperative, let's see, lu san, lu sai, lu theti. So this is the aorist active imperative. Make for us gods, who, relative pronoun. The only difference between the article and the relative pronoun is the accent. There's an accent here, so it's the relative pronoun. Make for us gods who will go before us. This is a future because of the sigma. Go, perumai, pro, before. For the Moses this, who, relative pronoun, who led us out from the land of Egypt. This is the aorist of ekphero. Agagon is the Popeye aorist. No, it's the aorist of Pharaoh. So, you know, Pharaoh turns to Popeye in the past tense. I don't know if that helps you. Who led us from the land of Egypt. This Moses who led us out from the land of Egypt, we do not know what became to him. This is the interrogative pronoun. We don't know what's happened to him. End of quote. Verse 41, and they made bull. Poieo means to make, and then moskos is bull. So they became makers of bull, and they made a bull in the days those. This word, when I saw this today, I thought to myself, did the Greeks really have a word for making bull? Or did Stephen make this up on the spot? I mean, Germans can do that. You know, you just kind of make up a word by chunking things together. I've not seen that too much in Greek, but it might have happened here. And they made bull, the golden calf, in those days, and they led up. There's Agag again, the aorist of Pharaoh, Anna Pharaoh. They led up sacrifice to the idol, and they rejoiced in the works of their hands. So anyway, I think by implications, whether they got it or not, Stephen is aligning this rebellious crowd with the Sanhedrin. Okay, final slide for today. And God turned away. This is an interesting thing about, we see this in Romans 1, where God's judgment can be to turn away. It's not that he necessarily always sends a lightning bolt to fry people. He did that with Ananias and Sapphira. But sometimes when God is displeased with his people, and maybe that's, he turns away. He lets them spiral out of control. He lets them experience the consequences of their actions. They fall under their own weight, so to speak. So God turned away and he delivered them. He handed them over. This reminds me of Romans 1 so much, to serve the host of heaven, the armies of heavens. And here, of course, a lot of the ancients worship the stars. I suppose astrologers today, I don't know if they worship them, but there's this kind of being enamored with the stars as if they're heavenly beings. Just as it is written in the book of the prophets, well, it's written in Amos. We're going to quote Amos 5:26 here. Interesting. I think there's a sense of corporate prophecy here, that prophecies can emerge not from a single verse necessarily, but from the whole corpus of the prophets, which speaks to a whole Bible hermeneutic, I think, more than a kind of a proof text memory verse kind of hermeneutic, although in a sense he's lifting a verse out. Just as it is written in the book of the prophets, quote, not victims and sacrifices, this is sacrificial victims here, sphagia, not sacrificial victims and sacrifices have you offered. This is the perfect of prosphero. Eninka is the perfect. So we've got egagon, which is the aorist of this word, and eninka, which is the perfect. It's completely irregular. You just have to memorize it. You did not offer to me sacrificial victims and sacrifices to me 40 years in the desert, O house of Israel. Now there's a bit of a conflating here, right? Because Amos is writing from the northern kingdom before it was destroyed by the Assyrians in 722. So there's this conflating. Again, I used to be troubled by these things. There's no trouble here. We just have to adjust our mindset. They did not interpret the Bible the way that they teach you in inductive Bible study class. They saw similarities. They brought things together. And this is not the only place in this sermon where Stephen/Luke have conflated things. And so he is telescoping, let's use that word. He is telescoping Israel's rebellion in the desert with Israel's northern kingdom's rebellion in the 8th century BC. But you took up the tent of Moloch. Of course, the tent is a traveling shrine, as it were. You took up the tent of Moloch and the star of the god Rifos. Now, who is this Rifos? Well, he's following the Septuagint text of Amos, because in Amos the Hebrew is Kion. This seems to be related to maybe Saturn, but anyway, Rifos is what the Greek translation has instead of Kion, which is what the Hebrew has. And sometimes languages are weird with translating names from one language to another. And the star of the god Rifos, the images which you made to worship them. And I will carry you away. I will make your dwelling away beyond Babylon. Now, here's again a conflation, because in Amos he says Damascus. Babylon is not the foe at the time of Amos. Babylon is the foe of the southern kingdom about 150 years after Amos. And so again, Stephen/Luke has conflated two destructions. Amos is talking about what is a prediction of the destruction of the northern kingdom in 722 by the Assyrians, and Stephen/Luke has conflated it with the Babylonian captivity, which happened in 586. Again, nobody should be troubled by that. You just have to reset your mind and to realize that they were not oriented around getting back to the precise interpretation of the original meaning. They were about bringing this text as a living oracle. We saw it, didn't we? Bringing living oracles to bear upon our situation today. Well, there you have a little bit of Greek. Infinitive here, future tense here. The circumflex is the hint of the future tense here. Sometimes iota stems do that. What else? This lobbing you an aorist here, aorist with the sigma alpha. Okay, we'll see you, Lord willing, tomorrow. This has been the Greek version of Acts for the day.